Good day, my name's Evan Whitestar. I'm the Indigenous Advocate at Mother Teresa Middle School along with the Oskâpêos. Part of what I'm doing there is infusing First Nations culture with our education system. I want to briefly start off today with an acknowledgement to the Cree word for school. And unfortunately, it's kind of a sad word, and the word itself is Kiskin Wahamatu, Wikamik Wikamakuk. Translated directly means the place where we go to cry. Now that is an awfully sad word to me, and I feel in this day and age with what's been going on since the discovery out in Kamloops that we can start changing that narrative, because there are schools out there that are aiming towards to make the lives of our youth a better place, and more specifically the lives of our First Nations youth. Schools and educations are starting to gear towards meeting their specific needs and demands. And when I say specific needs and demands, there's a lot of generational trauma that these kids are unpacking this day and age. And with what's been going on in the news, they're starting to finally get answers as to why things happen the way they do. I just want to say that it's time that this information be more readily available. Like that translation from Cree to the word school, it's a sad word. I want to take my time to eventually start changing that narrative. Where I work, Mother Teresa Middle School, we're very unique in the fact that we gear our programs towards disadvantaged youth, predominantly First Nations youth. And we're finding that infusing them with a healthy identity, along with all the traditional First Nations teaching tools that we use, like the drum, beading, First Nations dance, the language that we're starting to partake in our grade 6 and grade 7 rooms, is starting that healing process. And this healing process is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be an ongoing process, but that process needs to start somewhere. I'm very proud of the fact that where I work in the Regina Catholic School Board at Mother Teresa Middle School, that we're gearing programs towards unpacking all that generational trauma that residential schools have left upon First Nations population. We do this through unique programming. Like 5 years ago, we started the Buffalo Boys because our drum, our First Nations drum in our Cree way, is a teaching tool. We may not have had schools before Canada was formed, but we had the drum. This is how we educated our youth. We had First Nations dancers at a young age, learning what they needed to survive here. And the time has come now that education is getting much more broader than just math and science, that we need to start infusing love, culture into our hallways. We're finding that when we infuse this in our hallways, we get the full participation of our students, especially our First Nation students. But even more importantly for our non-First Nation students, the awareness and the education they're receiving while we're sitting in on our sweetgrass teachings, while I'm giving drum teachings, while we're having that cultural hour at the school, we're addressing and we're unpacking these traumas that our family's been through. We're there to support our students right from grade 6 all the way to when they graduate university or they start employment. That's actually very special because education for First Nations people has failed us up until recently. The Canadian government and the education government were mandated to take the Indian out of the child. Nowhere along there did they say, educate that child so he could survive in culture today, so he could be successful in today's world. They were mandated to remove that Indian out of the child. By doing so, you took all that will to succeed, all that will to love, all that will to be there for one another. All the teachings that we give at our school at Mother Teresa Middle School is predicated on Sagituk Wichihituk, love one another and help one another. At its core, that's the humanity we need in our culture right now. That's what's missing when you walk down the street, is that awareness, that understanding. So hopefully by equipping our youth with the ability to sing, the ability to speak a little bit of their language, the ability to understand why we use sweetgrass, why we depend on the land so much. By equipping these youth today, I'm hoping that in the future we're going to see a much stronger voice from our First Nations population. These young people are ready to lead. They're ready to be educated. So I'm challenging them more and more now because they need this. We've been left in the dark too long. Now is our time to catch up to everybody in society. You know, there's no reason why we shouldn't be graduating and convocating from universities at a higher rate. Like I said, the school system let us down as First Nations people up until just recently. Well, at Mother Teresa Middle School, we're actually aiming our curriculum towards high-risk youth that are predominantly First Nations youth, inner city youth. And we're surrounding them with love and guidance. Because as a teacher, you can teach somebody and you could teach them up here and they're gonna learn it. But if you teach them right here, they're gonna love it. What these kids do for the community goes a long way because they come from here. There's a word that I promote that's called papewewen, what the heart makes us do. And these young people that we had here today, this is what their heart makes them do. We watched them dance, we watched them sing, we supported them, we loved them, and we're giving them the ability to be leaders, to be that future generation. 35 years ago, I was charged with keeping this alive for the next generation. I'm at a spot that allows me to do this. We encompass this in our curriculum at the school every day. Every day you're gonna have that ability to have that First Nations culture infused into your school day. And it's not on the outside. These are right during curriculum hours. I'll be in there during a social class teaching sweetgrass teachings, teaching what it means to love one another and help one another. That's the humanity that we as all Canadians need, to understand that we're all treaty people, that we all survived residential together. Some of us maybe suffered a little bit more, but that doesn't make anybody less than anybody else. We're all Canadians. We're all in this together. If we want to have a healthy community, we got to include everybody.